Monday, 20th of November, 2023. The major development was happening on the political front with a visit of the United States Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin. He announced a new $100 million military aid package, which will include artillery ammunition, additional interceptors for air defense, as well as a number of anti-tank weapons. On the military frontier, Ukrainian fighters struck a Russian base near the village of Avdiivka in the Kherson region. Soldiers of the Flying Skull Air Reconnaissance Unit destroyed the base using guided JDAM aerial bombs. JDAM guidance kit helps Ukrainian forces to accurately use air-to-surface weapons against high-priority fixed targets from fighter and bomber aircraft. Ukraine began receiving JDAMs from the US at the beginning of 2023, and it is great to see productive results of their integration into the Air Force. Tuesday, 21st of November, 2023. Russian forces began actively assaulting Ukrainian positions around Bakhmut area. Units of the 1307th Motorized Rifle Division and 72nd Motorized Rifle Brigade tried to attack in the direction of Kyiv. To the south, the 83rd Airborne Brigade also began their attack, but so far without any success. Even further south, with the forces of the 57th Motorized Rifle Brigade and the 7th Motorized Rifle Brigade, the enemy is trying to defuse the situation by attacking in a northerly direction towards the village of Avdiivka. With these attacks, the enemy is trying to achieve at least two objectives. The first is to completely wear off the Ukrainian troops with constant deterrent counterattacks. Second, to advance as far as possible in the direction of Shahed Yar with the forces in the southeast. In fact, to reach the flank and rear of the tactical group of the Ukrainian armed forces operating south of the city. Nevertheless, the Russian progress in this direction so far remains insignificant. Wednesday, 22nd of November, 2023. The command of the enemy forces in the Kupyansk direction is completing the regrouping of its forces and assets. To the area northeast of the Lyman Pershai, the enemy moved an additional motorized rifle battalion from the 47th Tank Division. Further, they deployed the 27th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade in the Kupyansk area. In addition, the Howitzer Self-Propelled Artillery Division from the 288th Artillery Brigade was moved in this direction. Lastly, north of the Kupyansk, the enemy pulled up to the front line at least two assault companies of the Storm type from the 18th Motorized Rifle Division. Such increasing attention to this area indicates that Russians are either preparing for a massive assault or are trying to reinforce their positions in fear of a Ukrainian counteroffensive. On another section in the area of Novoprokopivka, in the Tokmak direction, Russian group tried to storm Ukrainian positions at night. The fighters of the Spartan NSU Brigade successfully located the enemy. Thanks to coordinated actions between infantry, aerial reconnaissance and artillery, the enemy was eventually forced to retreat. Thursday, 23rd of November, 2023. Russian forces began a renewed offensive effort towards Avdiivka, although with weaker mechanized capabilities than in the previous offensive waves that occurred in October. Avdiivka has already become a mass graveyard for Russians. After weeks of suicidal assaults, thousands are lying dead in the surrounding forests and fields. In the video, you can see footage from Thursday of the work of the Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. Using a smokescreen on the positions of the Russian invaders, Ukrainian fighters engaged in active combat with the enemy. The crew of the 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade fed the enemy with fire. Friday, 24th of November, 2023. In the Kherson region, the enemy continues the attempts to block the bridgeheads of the Ukrainian armed forces on the left bank of the Dnipro River. For at least 3 days, Russians tried to oust Ukrainian units from the village of Krynky. Towards Krynky, Russians have put units of the 70th Motorized Rifle Division, 144th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade, and at least one battalion from the 810th Separate Marine Brigade. This main action group is located in the south of Krynky, as well as northeast of the settlement from the side of the Korsunka. The main goal is to prevent the expansion of the Ukrainian bridgehead from flank directions. In addition, in the southwestern direction next to the village of Kozachi Laheri, there are units of the 104th Airborne Assault Division, with the support of the 10th Separate Special Purpose Brigade. With these forces, Russians are doing whatever they can to prevent further expansion of Ukrainian bridgeheads. The main issue for them is close Ukrainian artillery support, which prevents Russians from using massive armored attacks and allows slow but steady progress of Ukrainian infantry. The future development of this direction remains under question, with huge potential for Ukrainian forces to use this as a foothold for further expansion, all the way towards the sea. Saturday, 25th of November, 2023. Russian forces launched the largest drone strike against Ukraine since the start of the full-scale invasion overnight, using a new modification of the Iranian Shahed drones. Ukrainian military officials reported that Russian forces launched 75 Shahed drones that mainly targeted Kyiv. It is worth mentioning that the strike happened on the Ukrainian Remembrance Day of the Holodomor man-made famine orchestrated by Russians. Reuters published footage of air defense operations in Kyiv during that night. Ukrainian forces shot down 74 out of 75 launched Shahed drones. Sunday, 26th of November, 2023. New footage began to appear showcasing the fighting happening on the left bank of the Dnipro River in the village of Krynky. An armored personnel carrier of the occupiers engaged in close-range combat with Ukrainian troops. After firing, the Russians tried to leave the position, but during the maneuver, it got stuck in a ditch. Ukrainian fighters did not forgive the enemy for such a mistake. It took just over a minute for the kamikaze drone to fly up and eliminate the enemy. Another atmospheric video came from the Avdiivka direction. Here, a Russian soldier is walking on what looks like the road of death. The lifeless bodies of his comrades on the road are nothing but reminders of what is going to happen to him. He came to a Ukrainian land to conquer it, and his fate is certain. Just like the rest, he will lay in the dirt, being slowly absorbed into Ukrainian soil, lonely and forever forgotten. In conclusion, during this week, Ukrainian forces have eliminated 5,620 personnel, 74 tanks, 109 APCs, 126 artillery systems, 8 MLRS, 137 UAVs of operational tactical level, and 9 anti-aircraft systems.